hear clarifying comments on his stance on abortion. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Tim, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, independent. Tim, what do you want to hear? Nick in Moorhead, Minnesota, Democratic caller. Hi, Nick.
Hi, I'm a Minnesota resident and a college student. This is my first presidential election, and I want to hear about education issues, especially with the price of college. In Minnesota, Governor Walz helped make state university tuition free for families that made under $80,000 a year. For my younger siblings, he made school lunches free for all K-12 students and increased public school funding by $5.5 billion. So I want to hear about those in the debate tonight. But bottom line is he's been a fantastic governor. I think he'll be a great vice president. Minnesota's already given the country 2 vice presidents in Hubert Humphrey and Walter Mondale, and Tim Walz will be an incredible addition to that list.
Nick, what do you think he brings to the ticket?
I mean, he's just a really down-to-earth guy. I mean, I know plenty of guys in Minnesota who are just like Tim Walz. I would be happy with any of them as vice president, and I'm happy that Tim Walz has a good shot at being them.
Do you want him to remain progressive and push progressive initiatives, or do you see a need for him and the vice president to come to the center?
All right.
I mean,
I think we're good.
Tim Walz he's always been a moderate. I mean, he won in a red district in southern Minnesota. And I think it's a misnomer when progressive policy issues are just policy issues that help ordinary people. So if progressive is helping ordinary Americans, then I'd love for them to be progressive.
Okay. John, Branson, Missouri, Republican. John, let's hear from you.
Got corn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. I'd just like to get what they're talking about, what they're going to do with the border crisis, our economy.
I just love hearing people call in to C-SPAN.
Topic, and that's about it.
Okay. John in Missouri, we are just a few minutes out here. Jim, Washington, D.C., independent. Jim, this debate will get underway at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And what do you want to hear? Jim, you there? An independent in Washington, D.C. All right, let me move on to Blaine, who's in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Democratic caller.
I want to hear all about the foreign policy, what their stance is on Ukraine. Are we going to reinforce NATO or side with Russia? I want to know what's going on, of course, in the Middle East as well. And back to foreign policies, abortion, union rights, the rights of workers. What are they going to do to defend the middle class? And the contrast between
this is my son art.
Blaine thoughts. Craig is in Northport, Florida, a Republican.
It's time to be a React streamer.
Go ahead.
Hello. I'd like to hear on tonight's debate some clarification on the migration acts, the temporary migration acts, and what's going to be done to curb the illegal immigration. I'd also like to see if Senator Walz can talk about the economy and not just give us a story about the middle class. Thank you.
So, Craig, you're a Republican. Do you know
back
how
version
you're
of
going to
Tom.
vote in November?
Oh, absolutely. I am voting Republican this year.
Okay. And what is the #1 issue for you that
What's your #1 issue, buddy?
You're going to vote Republican.
The
economy,
issue
probably.
is illegal immigration and
Okay,
the
never mind.
economy.
There
Big issues, honestly.
Okay.
you go.
And why do you think the former president will do a better job on those 2 issues?
Well, he was already in office for 4 years, and he proved that he can keep a stable economy, and we actually had some great progress with the economy under Trump, so I think that's why I'm voting for him.
And how do you think J.D. Vance helps the ticket on issues like that?
Well, I think he's a down-to-earth, grassroots-esque candidate who can relate to the middle class and the middle upper class, and so I think that's how.
Yeah, the unrealized gain tax is like.
Eric in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, Democratic caller. Hi, Eric.
Hello. Yes, my main question is, where is the common decency gone in this country? When J.D. Vance gets on a podium and talks about his own constituents, saying that they're eating cats and dogs.
These are people calling into
where's the sense of
C-SPAN to
society?
give their
Where's the
opinions on
sense
what
of
they want to hear
conversation
from this
being
VP debate.
gone? Folks, this is unreal. How has it gotten this far? I
Sometimes
don't
you
know.
get like people calling in about
megalomania that JD is displayed
with rants, or like sometimes you get people just with conspiracy
what he
theories.
says now, it's truly terrifying. So that's what I hope Tim Walz asks about. Where's the sense of decency? Thank you.
All right, Eric there in Pennsylvania. We'll go to the senator's home state. Rick
sometimes
in
is.
Ohio, independent. Hi, Rick.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
My main
There was a
concern
woman
is
for the presidential debate who
healthcare
called into
and
C-SPAN and was
why
like,
bankruptcy
"This is primetime TV.
When every other
I've been watching House of Dragons, and this is the next best thing."
healthcare to their citizens. And I would love to hear both candidates discuss that, how it's going to be resolved, because so many people, as they enter near retirement and beyond, they save their whole lives, and then they get sick. And, you know, as you get older, you need healthcare. It's just the reality of life. And why people have to choose between death and bankruptcy when it comes to our health system, I think it's horrible. So that needs to be addressed.
All right, Rick wants to hear about health care tonight. Brandon in Indiana, Republican. Brandon, what do you want to hear about?
I want to hear why Tim, they call him Tampon Tim, why he wants to put tampons in boys' bathrooms.
Tampon Tim!
Little kids. And I also want to let you know, since I have it, the New World Order is on the run.
New World Order?
All right, Jason in
What the fuck? What is this,
Virginia,
2004?
Democratic caller. Jason, let's hear from you.
Hey, what's up, Greta? So good hearing from you. I'd like to hear.
Check what out yet?
I like the
Fine,
comment
I
that
guess
made
you are my
before,
little
some
pod
decency,
champ.
just
Come here.
remembering that
Tampon Tim,
watching.
push the couch Vance.
And I also think that Walz is going to kind of do real well by reminding people that the Republicans need to
Fine,
stay
I guess
out
you
of
are my little
everybody's
pod
business.
champ. Come here.
Joins in Petal, Mississippi, independent. Jones? Joins is Jones or Joins in Mississippi?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. So I just wanted to, as what a few other callers said, it's just
Fine,
the
I guess you
decency.
are my
I know
little
who I'll
pod
be
champ.
supporting.
Come
I'll
here.
be supporting
It sort of follows.
former President Trump, but just the lack of decency and the fact that politicians continue to stick to issues that divide us and not the issues that the majority of Americans agree on.
So, caller, where is the lack of decency coming from, do you think?
It's coming from both sides. After the assassination attempt, Trump called Kamala wicked, and Kamala was attacking Trump. I assumed there was going to be some sort of downplaying the rhetoric, like people said, but it was honestly the total opposite, and now we have such division.
So you don't want to hear that tonight from J.D. Vance or Tim Walz?
Not at all. I think it's disgraceful, the lack.
There was a guy who called in earlier. He's like, "I'm 94 years old, and I don't think either side will do anything. It's all about the Federal Reserve."
Stephanie, what do you want to hear? Real quick.
Well, I'd like to hear Mr. Walz talk about decency and
And there's some truth to
side, because we know from
the financial side of the American politics being a
Mr. Trump
huge
has
mover.
not been particularly decent to anybody. He was
They're taking calls from everywhere in the
He
country.
bankrupted several companies, not personal bankruptcy, but several businesses. He's known for not paying contractors, middle America. You want to work for a man who won't pay you, a rich man who won't pay you. As far as the economy, he's racked up more than $3.5 billion in.
All right, Stephanie, I will leave it there because we are now just moments away.
20 seconds. All right, C-SPAN's done taking people's calls from all over the
Again,
country.
A little more than 90 minutes of debate expected tonight.
Oh
between
shit!
J.D.
No, wait.
Vance
Okay,
and Tim Walz. After
Okay, I was
the
gonna
debate,
say they
we'll
had
hear your
live
phone
chat
calls
on,
and
bro.
see your
What the
reaction on
fuck?
social media.
All right.
And take a look inside the spin room in New York to see how
Do they allow
the
international
campaigns
apologies? I have no
are
idea.
spinning the debate. That's all here on the C-SPAN networks following tonight's debate.
All right, let's tune into fucking CBS. God, here we go again.
This whole country red with President Donald J. Trump's leadership. You know what's at the end of this little journey? Kamala Harris.
God, the media just treats this like fucking boxing, bro.
Special
Live from CBS News headquarters in New York, America Decides, the vice presidential debate.
Time for some
Good evening, I'm
typecasting here.
And thank you for joining us for tonight's CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. We want to welcome our viewers on CBS, on other networks here in the U.S.
Media announcer from UFC, true, very true.
We have a night ahead, and our focus is the issues that matter to you, the voter. Let's introduce the candidates. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Ohio's Republican Senator J.D. Vance.
They're much closer to each other than Trump and Harris were.
I'm Mark.
Oh, they shook hands.
In order to have a thoughtful and civil debate, these are the rules that
You didn't-
both
well,
campaigns have
they're gonna explain the
agreed
rules
to.
now.
Questions will be directed at one candidate who will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for rebuttal. Then each candidate will get another minute to make further points, with an additional 1 minute each at the discretion of the moderator.
Okay.
The primary role of the moderators is to facilitate the debate between the candidates, enforce the rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity.
What about fact checks for there? All right, there you go. All right.
CBS News reserves the right to mute the candidates' microphones to maintain decorum.
You saw someone make $10,000 from Kamala and Trump shaking hands? Oh shit.
Is set.
Dude, where are these gamble sites, bro? Give me the link, bro. Give me the link.
Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Helene. And now a labor strike as 25,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas.
I know how to solve the wars in the Middle East right now.
Middle East. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora.
Well, more specifically, the invasions
Earlier
from Israel.
today, Iran launched its
Stop funding them.
attack
That's
yet
it.
on Israel,
But they won't.
that attack failed, thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to try to prevent a regional war. Iran is weakened.
Yes, you want to watch
But
the shit show,
still
Shinzu.
considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists
oh my God.
1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But
I wonder what happened before October 7th.
is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack. But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump
Answer the
talking
question,
about
bro.
sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that. It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them,
Is he not going to answer the question?
Trump said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our
The question
allies
was,
matter.
would you
When
call for a
our
preemptive
allies
strike
see
from,
Donald Trump
would you support a preemptive strike from Israel and Iran?
Putin turn towards North Korea.
Just talking about
when
Trump.
you start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel?
He didn't answer the question. He just said, I'll support Israel.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working-class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is a broken agreement with Iran. What they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, look, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a
The question is basically, which one of you is the bigger Zionist?
Iran's nuclear program in the inability to advance it.
That's basically it. Neither of them cannot say, no, I wouldn't support Israel. Like, they're answering the question, but not answering the question at the same time.
Shot down an American aircraft in
They're just both saying, I would support Israel.
Donald Trump tweeted.
It's vague enough where they would later can be like, okay, yeah, we're going to rein in Israel a little bit.
Did fall.
But also vague enough to where voters who believe
Donald Trump
their candidate needs to be pro-Israel to win, well, we'll vote for them still.
Understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did exit that deal.
He broke the agreement.
He recently said, just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal.
Thank goodness you brought that shit up. I'm like,
the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said,
to be honest, USA should calm Israel. They should cut funding temporarily
Donald Trump, who has been
to
the
Israel.
Vice president for the last 3.5 years. And
they're letting Israel commit genocide. Now they're invading southern Lebanon, launching attacks on Damascus in Syria. Like, bruh, they got the go ahead. They essentially got the go ahead.
To where we are right now, and you can't.
It's not a surprise if you let a nation state get away with genocide. Of course, they're gonna do similar or just as wild things without, you know, minding consequences. They have the United fucking States behind their back. Why would they not?
Peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a
Both parties support Israel.
Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing.
It might be 600
Scientists
soon.
say climate change makes these hurricanes larger.
Yeah, no shit.
and more deadly because of the historic rainfall. Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change. Senator, what responsibility
prepare for climate
would the Trump
change.
administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure. So first of all,
You
let's
can't answer this,
start
bro.
with the hurricane because it's an
Oh, my God.
unspeakable human tragedy.
Here we go.
I just saw today actually a photograph.
Unspeakable tragedy where you send like
$8
$8 billion to Israel.
because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor Walz joins me in saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them, and we want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible, and then, of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally in Appalachia, all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job, and I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster. Now, Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions, this idea that carbon emissions
Oh, my God. Here.
Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true. Well, if you believe
Weird
that,
science.
what would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing per unit of economic output. So if we actually care about getting cleaner air and cleaner water, the best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people.
What does this have to do with the question here?
Exactly the opposite.
Governor Walz, you have 2 minutes to respond.
We got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all, it is a horrific tragedy with this hurricane, and my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of Governors as we work together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together. So all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end. The federal government comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover, but we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused. Now, look, coming back to the climate change issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything we've seen. Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property.
How can you deny
what we've seen
for the humans? I'm not talking about like planet health or anything. I'm talking about for the humans. How can you deny living conditions, especially on islands and coastal areas, are getting worse? How can you deny the heat waves, the record-breaking heat waves, year after year? Like, I don't understand what the fuck's going on through his mind when he says weird science, bro.
In North America sets in Minnesota. But my farmers,
I think it means if you bring back manufacturing jobs to the U.S., it will be cleaner, environmentally friendly than the manufacturing overseas.
What they're doing is adapting.
Whatever China's doing has no real bearing on what the U.S. should do. That's why I was like, what's that to do with the question?
More oil at any time than we ever have.
Yeah, exactly. Sidestepping the acknowledgement of climate change.
So the solution for us is to continue to move forward. That climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical,
dude.
but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country. That's
my God, he's actually cooking.
We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower for the future.
It's not a one or the other.
Just the current, and that's what absolutely makes sense. And then we start thinking about how do we mitigate these disasters.
He's cooking.
Senator, I
he cooked towards the end there, dude.
To respond there, the governor mentioned that
even JD Vance is like, shit, he cooked.
Do you agree?
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular Kamala Harris and her leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing. So clearly, Kamala Harris herself doesn't believe her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's energy policy. policies. Now, something Governor Walz said I think is important to touch upon, because when we talk about clean energy, I think that's a slogan that often the Democrats will use here. And I'm talking, of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China, number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China, especially the components that go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner, you've got to invest.
Does he know where a lot of these components come from? It's usually China or parts of Africa.
Natural gas, we got to invest more in it. Kamala Harris has done the opposite. That's raised energy prices and also meant that we're doing worse by the climate.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, would you like to respond?
Well, look, we're producing more natural gas than we ever have. There's no moratorium on that. We're producing more oil. But the folks know, and like I said again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one year, massive flooding the next year.
Wildfires the year after.
Look, our number
landslides
cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota this summer. And thinking about how do we respond to that, we're thinking ahead on this. And what Kamala Harris has been able to do in Minnesota, we're starting to weatherproof some of these things. The infrastructure law that was passed allows us to think about mitigation in the future. How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign and I'll let you do whatever you want. We can be smarter about that, and an all-above energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Governor, your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that the Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret?
Thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to
That's fact check.
The crisis at the
That's what it takes
U.S.-Mexico
the
border
90s, though.
consistently ranks as one of the top issues for American voters. Senator
China.
Vance, your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation plan in American history and to use the U.S. military to do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work? For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil? You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That has opened the floodgates. And what it's meant is that a lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction and has gotten clean. I don't want people who are struggling with addiction to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations, and that gets me to
the wall
point,
that
Margaret,
people can get around. Build a wall that people can go around or under or above.
Here in the country, what do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start.
They never talk about the arms trafficking too across the border, usually to the south.
Crossing the border illegally. I think you start with
in return for the drugs, of course.
Those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage.
It's impossible to cover the natural aspect of human migration, especially with worsening climate changes.
Family separation right now in this country, Margaret,
in the political debate, but that's something that's never mentioned as well.
That the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost.
Someone could mention it here and be like, tie it back to the climate change shit.
Hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
Governor, do you care to respond to any of those specific allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children.
The drug mule is not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. 30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this, and that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans out here. That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. The Border Patrol said, this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents, detection for drugs, DOJ money to speed up these the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no, told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things? And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years.
Damn,
to do
he's putting back on them.
America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it. Less than 2% of that wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing people and telling them what he was going to do. As far as the deportation plan, at one point, Senator Vance said it was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at. Pass the bill, she'll sign it.
Governor, your time is
He's
up,
cooking, man.
Senator,
I don't know what J.D. Vance is going to do here.
Separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens. You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country.
No single person enabled
drug mules, and it is a disgrace, and it has to stop.
Okay.
Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 90 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president again.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, what about our CBS News polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportations?
Look, we fix this issue with a bill that is necessary, but the issue on this is what happens when you don't want to solve it. You demonize it. And we saw this, and Senator Vance, and it surprises me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally in the community of Springfield. The Republican governor said, it's not true, don't do it. There's consequences for this. There's consequences. We could come together. Senator Lankford did it. We could come together and solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Tim,
Governor, your time is up. Senator, I'll give you 1 minute, but let me just ask you the question first. The governor has made the point, and I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding. So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree that Congress controls the purse strings and would need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been, and it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help, but most of this is about the president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say, if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico, you've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed, you've got hospitals that are overwhelmed, you have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open
Nevis, you live on the border. What do you think?
And I actually think, I
think it's much more complicated than most people think it is.
Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, you have 1 minute to respond.
You can't possibly cover the entire topic in this
law
debate.
Enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. That's because they know we need to do this. Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything. On housing, we could talk a little bit about Wall Street speculators buying up housing and making them less affordable. But it becomes a blame. Look, this bill also gives the money necessary to adjudicate. I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to it. This bill does it. It's funded. It's supported by the people who do it. And it lets us
he's hitting that conservative side here.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status. Nora?
Thank you.
Senator, we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important.
But wait.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get
to,
Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created.
Oh, they muted his mic.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are
I can hear him.
We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora?
Thank you, Margaret. The economy is a top concern for voters. Each of your campaigns has released an economic plan, so let's talk about the specifics. Governor Walz, Vice President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit. The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you pay for that without ballooning the deficit? Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up in that. We understand. So those of you out there listening tonight, you're hearing a lot of stuff back and forth, and it's good. It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris put out there is talking about this housing issue. The one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down payment assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house is much more than just an asset to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at. And then making sure that the things you buy every day, whether they be prescription drugs or other things, that there's fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis, prices went down on rent 4%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's actually true. He brought that up. I was like, I was thinking to myself earlier, why didn't you bring this up earlier?
In Minnesota reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We save money in the long run, and we do the right thing for families. And then getting businesses off the ground. The law as it stands right
Minnesota
now
is actually pretty high up in terms of quality of life.
Increasing that to 50,000. Now, this is a philosophical difference between us. Donald Trump made a promise, and I'll give you this. He kept it. He took folks to Mar-a-Lago, said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses,
which is insane.
Stabilizing it will increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession.
It's arguably worse than the unrealized gains tax. Not gonna lie, like, bro.
We'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their
20% tariff versus unrealized gains tax, bro. Which one are you gonna take? Which poison pill are you gonna take?
Have the things that they need.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond.
Which would you choose, Brian? 20% tariff increase or fucking unrealized gains tax?
It would increase the nation's deficit
Rip
by
Timu.
$5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning?
No, they would just increase the prices by 20%. You would just 20%.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this
It's like
evening.
arguably like they're the same.
A lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do.
I don't know. Yeah,
and
I don't know,
I'll be
dude.
honest
It's just,
with you, it
both are
even
dog
sounds
shit.
pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies. And what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%. Open the American southern border and make middle class.
Yes, the vice president has all these powers,
If
apparently.
Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle class problems, then she ought to do them now. Not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now,
You can say the same thing about Donald Trump's 4 years, right? What happened to draining the swamp, bro?
A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs.
It's like, this is meaningless.
Common sense, and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say that Donald Trump's
There's almost 1 million people watching this right now, bro.
I say, look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers.
When was the last time a president half the shit they said?
They want to undo the Trump tax cuts.
When was the last
What's so
time?
different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from
I don't
previous
know.
Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay.
People need to focus more on the local elections, the congressional elections as well, not just the presidential elections.
An American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country. That is a record that I'm proud to run on, and we're going to get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream again. I know a lot of you are struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
What?
Governor, do you want to respond to that?
What's going to stop? Worrying about paying bills, bro? All right, buddy.
One was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession, but 10 million people out of work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one. Whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things.
The pandemic.
We made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, you don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, or whatever, how is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years, and the last year as president? That's what's wrong with the system. There's a way around it, and he's bragged about that. We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
You have a minute.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries,
we got cheaper goods.
and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that.
Were there other side effects? Yes.
The idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to
vaccines are poison,
which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator, your time is up. Governor Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
Well, if you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were. Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wants to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics show that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job.
JD Vance is about to cook.
You've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised
He's starting to cook. JD Vance is starting to cook back.
Debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you,
this is a cook-off, bro.
Get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on health care then.
Senator, Governor.
Please.
No, what? Yo, why are you letting him get away with the cook? This guy let him get away with the cook. He's like, yeah, you cooked. Chef's kiss. What the fuck?
Qualifications.
Oh, okay.
The Vice President is the last voice the president
he's starting to falter a bit.
Making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that?
Get this. Oh my God.
Well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me.
If I had to give it, if I had to tally this, it's 2-1 right now, bro. Two points for Tim Walz and 1 point for JD Vance. JD Vance fumbled on the fucking climate change shit.
I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about.
Yeah, they're gonna clip that I'm a knucklehead.
I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us.
Also, he's not answering the fucking question here again.
Praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best
so
you can for your
what's the
community.
answer, bro?
And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor,
what
just to follow up on that,
the
answer was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in
well, you should have said that before,
Hong
bro.
Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance, in
got
2016, you called your running
afraid.
mate Donald Trump unfit for the nation's highest office, and you said,
Damn, now get his ass. Yo, these moderators.
You've been asked many
Yeah,
times.
these moderators are so like, dude, they're going after everybody.
You then voted for Donald Trump in 2020.
Oh,
The Washington
shit.
Post reported new messages last
Dude,
week in which you also
these
disparaged
moderators,
Trump's
these
economic
mods
record while
chat,
he was
they're
president,
going after them,
writing to
bro.
someone in 2020,
Hey, that's
quote,
what, honestly,
Trump
that's how it should
thoroughly
be.
failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to
Yeah,
hear,
bro.
and not just the advice he wants to hear? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open, and sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president.
Also, this could be my ticket to future presidency.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest.
Okay, he's gonna say he was wrong.
But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered.
Okay, the
for
humble
American
approach.
people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay.
How's the debate been?
For normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot
They're
of
both
things,
cooking.
frankly, that
They're
I
both
didn't think
cooking.
we'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done
Look at
so
Tim
many
while taking
interviews,
notes, bro.
because I think it's
He's taking a
important
lot of
to actually
notes.
explain to the American people
Maybe he's playing
where I come down on
tic-tac-toe,
the
bro.
issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent that I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round if Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe, and I've been a United States Senator, that Congress is not just a high-class debating society. It's not just a forum for senators and congressmen to whine about problems. It's a forum to govern.
But
So there
also,
were a lot of things on
are they
the
going to talk
border,
about
on
his
tariffs,
billionaire
for example,
backing, bro?
where I
Like,
think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better.
that old
about
man
how
has
they
an
govern the
earpiece
country.
in
They were
his?
so
No,
obsessed with impeaching
neither of
Donald
them has an
Trump,
earpiece.
they
Come on,
couldn't
bro.
actually govern.
What
And
the
I want to
fuck?
talk about this tariff issue in particular.
You kind of feel bad for
Margaret,
Tim. He looks so
because,
upset about that fumble.
Just accuse
He
this of
fumbled.
being a national sales tax. Look, the one
He fumbled
thing,
twice so far.
and,
He
know,
cooked twice. He
you're
fumbled
probably
twice.
surprised to hear me praising
JD Vance
Joe
also
Biden,
fumbled
but the
twice,
one
but
thing
cooked
that
once.
Joe Biden did is he continued some of the Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up. Nora?
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights.
All right,
Governor Walz,
reproductive
after
rights.
Roe versus Wade was overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is
That's a
what's
softball.
on everyone's
All right.
mind. Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade, 52 years of personal autonomy. And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states. It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride
He's gonna cook here.
in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy. She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child raped and impregnated by her stepfather. Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said 2 wrongs don't make a right. There is no right in this. So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a registry of pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to get.
You guys know Texas is already trying that.
And limit access, if not eliminate.
They're trying to get like a database set up in Texas of like women who would get pregnant, who were getting pregnant, and tracking if they went out of state for abortions.
But those things are being proposed.
I'm just like, that's not less government. That's more government.
What's right for Texas might not be right for Washington.
Yeah, that's what he was doing in Texas.
That's not how this works. This is basic human right. We have seen maternal mortality skyrocket in Texas, outpacing many other countries in the world.
Yeah.
This is about
maternal mortality.
We are ranked first in healthcare for a reason.
Infant mortality is,
we trust doctors.
You know, you would think the United States is like pretty high up there in terms of preventing those kinds of deaths, but it's not. It's like mid ranks.
And I want to talk about this issue because I know a lot of Americans care about it, and I know a lot of Americans don't agree with everything that I've ever said on this topic. And you know, I grew up in a working class family.
Oh my gosh, shut the fuck up about the working class bullshit.
Unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And, you know, one of them is actually very dear to me.
Okay.
And she's watching tonight.
All right.
I love you. And she told me something a couple years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive relationship. And I think that what I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do.
He's avoiding the question.
Just to give women more options.
Okay.
Right? Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy,
what about the other half?
That we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this.
Sure.
Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona. And the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions. Let the individual states make their abortion policy.
Why should the voters make a decision on something that should be between you and the doctor, though?
Sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Like, if a man wanted, I don't know, like hair implants or whatever,
the question got asked,
would you want people to vote on that? I don't know, bro.
The accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state.
I just don't like the idea of government being in private spaces.
Distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of
it should be a state's issue.
We as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography. There's a very real chance if Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time's up. Senator,
he's cooking.
Let me ask you about that.
He's cooking, dude.
You mentioned, it was, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone
That's crazy,
support
dude.
legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is, why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all,
because I need those votes, brother.
Ban. I did when I was running for Senate in 2022 talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not. Though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, you know, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. Many young women also
that's the lesson you learn, bro.
Pregnancy is something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships. And we have got to earn people's trust back. And
he's fumbling, bro.
And I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible,
I know he's about to cook, but he's fumbled.
Making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that. And that's what real leadership is.
The fact that that's the only lesson he learned from a landslide vote for abortion in his own state is crazy.
We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages, women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be
healthcare costs, cost of pregnancy / giving birth costs, cost of a home, cost of baby materials like baby food. I don't know, bro. Like, I think there's more.
We also make it, we're a top 3 state for the best place to raise children. But these two things to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all.
It's not pro-children. It's just anti-woman, bro. That's basically it.
And Kamala Harris is making the case to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to base that on the backs of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Yeah, this is cruel.
I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was.
Okay.
And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen—
this doesn't sound like a real law.
—to perform abortions against their will, because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country. Where
we need a community note here, Chad. What the fuck?
Make the country more pro-baby.
I've never heard of this.
Please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys.
Yo, Genie, this has got fumbled.
I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things work.
He just brushed him off like he was a kid, bro.
In place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding
that's pro-children.
All these other things.
That's pro-family.
Budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right
That's
back
the only thing you bring up. Here we go. The commercials. Today's important debate in America, sponsored by Disney. Make sure you get Hulu Plus. Subscribe to YouTube Premium. Check out some McDonald's. You know, shit. Fucking here we go. Budweiser. all right. Where's the commercials, dude? No commercials? Holy shit, do they actually have integrity here? No way, dude. Never mind. It's just their own commercials.
Morning, we want to be your go-to team. Nate has one of the quickest minds I've ever seen. Tony.
All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. That was like, oh shit, they have integrity? No commercials? Just a break? Nah, it's their own commercial.
two good friends and we talk about the world.
Your morning routine just got better. CBS Mornings, weekdays at 7.
It didn't seem like anything could happen, because nothing ever happens in East Palestine, but it did.
Authorities released toxic fumes from 5 derailed train cars.
Resident, please evacuate.
Acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes.
Did you ever have these problems before the derailment?
No, ma'am. This neighborhood's not safe no more.
We can assure the community that there's not vinyl chloride entering their communities.
Then why are there so many people feeling these various symptoms of bloody noses or difficulty breathing or bronchitis?
That's a hard question to answer.
We're talking about one of the most blatant releases of a mixture of some of the most toxic chemicals that we've seen in America.
I feel like now I have a duty to warn other communities. If my daughter has to watch me die of cancer, at least it saves someone else.
I'm back. Paramount Plus? Hell yeah, dude. What the hell is this? Is this Cops? 48 hours.
4 families shattered.
There's no physical evidence.
The mystery would haunt investigators for years.
There's some questions that have to be asked and need to be answered.
Like a John Grisham novel.
A gripping true crime original.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, check out our 48 hours
CBS News app.
true crime show.
Stories that inform.
Sponsored.
Really old at 60.
Commander says sponsored by Prime Hydration and New Feastables. No, it's not Feastables. It's Lunchleys, bro. Lunchleys. Lunchly, bro. Get with the program. Come on, keep up with the cool kids. This is CBS commercials. Oh my god. Can we not have commercials? Can we just have an intermission and a blank screen or some shit? No?
Sightseers in space. The thrill of a life.
Look, chat, it's my future coffin.
It was so exhilarating. But the risks that come with the territory. There have been 4 fatal accidents. That's a 1%.
I want my dead body with Becca's dead body shot off into space. So we can, like, travel through the void, travel through the starry, galaxy-filled darkness of the universe. No, I gotta look for that shit. I gotta look for that shit.
She's the first black woman on the Supreme Court, and she's determined she won't be the last.
My parents had raised me to believe that I could do anything I wanted to do.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson on Person to Person.
Superstar approaching, superstar approaching. I can see clearly.
God, dude, these commercials. Gotta promote our shows, guys. Welcome to CBS. What is this? Is this happening right? What's C-SPAN doing? C-SPAN's got C-SPAN's also promoting its own shit. Honestly, though, C-SPAN, I mean, they're chill. C-SPAN's chill. They just film the shit, you know. Like sometimes they have casters commentating on some shit or taking calls, but C-SPAN's chill for the most part. Oh, are we done?
Cause of death for children and teens in America is by firearms. Senator Vance,
oh shit, school shootings.
Most gun legislation that Democrats claim would curb gun violence. You oppose red flag gun laws and
is he gonna fumble or is he gonna cook chat on gun violence, on school shootings? Cook or fumble?
Earlier this year, for the first time, the parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10
Yeah, that's what you say. It's a part of life.
Do you think holding
he's gonna cook? Nah, I don't know about that, bro.
mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases,
maybe you should have looked it up before the debate, bro. I think it's fumbling.
Details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun, knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous.
Okay,
but look,
sure.
I want to just sort of speak as a
I think he's gonna fumble.
3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just, how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns.
Because gun trafficking exists,
so that number,
usually from the north to south,
in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger.
They already are. Yeah, I went to school recently. The doors are so fucking thick, chat. I looked, dude, the doors in that school we visited, literally, like, thicker than my fucking, the width of my face, dude.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and
okay.
he witnessed a shooting at a community.
I think he didn't really cook. I also think he didn't fumble either yet. Kind of. I think he fumbled a little bit with the lock shit. And the doors, like doors.
Parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead.
All right.
And they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is.
Also, there's a huge gap between well-funded school districts, rich school districts, and like underfunded school districts in terms of like security or education. So that's also something people don't talk about.
Here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence. And this idea,
this is true.
Live with it, here's what I do.
This is true. The government does not want research on gun violence. Sorry, government-funded research on gun violence.
It's abhorrent and it breaks your heart. I agree with that, but that's not far enough when we know there are things that work.
Like it's like research proposals are blocked actively by the federal government.
Rate in the country. There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go? When we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, I don't think kids should be afraid to go to school and getting shot up, bro.
If you're listening tonight, this breaks your heart.
Senator.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said, actually, about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly, weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland. Is, okay, first of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse, or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem.
You know what gun I want, Chad?
A big piece of it. Another
you know what gun I want?
Gun violence epidemic, especially
I want the Smith & Wesson 500 caliber with extra large frame, capacity for 5 bullets. That's what I want. Let me put that on my wish list. But unfortunately, they don't sell it on Amazon. So.
Senator, thank you.
Can't gift me.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where My shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is, talking about cities and where it's at, the number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have, and we should look at all of the issues.
Yeah.
Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful.
Mental health care.
This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things...
Your JD Vance is nodding to this.
This is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority.
Gentlemen, thank you. Margaret?
Thank you, Nora. Let's turn now to the top contributor to inflation, the high cost of housing and rent. There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States.
All right, we're moving on from the school shooting crisis to
Governor Walz, the
housing
campaign promises
and rent.
$25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and a $10,000 tax credit. They also promise to build 3 million new homes. Where are you building?
Any donos? Any donos for the model SNW 500 jet?
No, it's not handing out. We have, first, let me say this. This issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this,
Oh, thank you for the $2 dono. Appreciate it. I'll put it towards the gun. We need $1,560 more for a revolver.
Those of you listening tonight, that house a big deal. I bought and owned one house in my life. My mom still lives in the house where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass where you go with your family.
He's hitting that conservative side. He's trying to cook.
As I said, this program that the vice president is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks.
This part is true. Minnesota has, and this is why I brought up Minnesota as a potential state to move to for Rebecca.
All of you out there, one of the,
like,
certainly for me,
Minnesota has been constructing housing, which has been driving down prices of rent and housing prices. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Kona clap.
Oh my God, it scared the shit out of me. Yo, thanks for the biddies. We're going to put those biddies towards the model SNW 500.
The generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we've put some of these things in.
Nefis, you strike me as a semi-auto rifle person. Nah, I'm the kind of guy who has a holstered revolver and walks in through the door and asks where the bathroom is, partner.
Have their kids able to get to school.
When you want to say Henry lever action, 4570.
That I think we should be able to find some common ground in, but we can't blame immigrants for the only reason. That's not the case that's happening in many cities. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affordable housing, but
when I put on my cowboy hat, my dog gets terrified of me. I don't know why. It must be that cowboy charisma, cowboy riz, cowboy aura.
As far as your campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising, and what part
where are you going to build all these homes, bro?
Will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well,
wait, what?
First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a
Or,
bunch of ideas. Now, some of those ideas I actually think are
rent prices are going
some
up
of them I disagree with.
for a variety of
The most
reasons,
important
apart from
thing here is
immigration.
Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not sit around and campaign and do nothing while Americans find the American dream of homeownership completely unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens if you lower energy prices?
Tell me, Mr. Historian, what's one type of land you can think of that falls under protection of federal land? Reservations. And national parks.
40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate.
It's a curious statement.
Relief for American
But I think
citizens.
he was more referring to like other areas probably held by federal government.
Senator Vance, you still have 23 seconds there. Do you want
Because
to
the federal government also owns a good swath of farmlands too.
Senator,
I don't know.
where are you going to seize the federal land?
He's not cooking. He's not cooking though.
What said is we have a lot of federal lands that aren't being used for anything. They're not being used for national park. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing. And I do think that we should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be used.
A lot of land.
Americans that need homes.
Okay.
We should be kicking
It's
out
not land. That's the issue though.
competing for those homes, and we should be building more homes for the American citizens who deserve to be here.
Senator, your time is up.
There's 300 million, roughly 300 some million people living in the States at any given time.
Well, of course,
There's plenty of room. There's plenty of space. There's plenty of land already.
Crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office.
But can people afford to buy up land and build houses or rent? Or I mean, that's of course not.
Going to drill and build houses in the same federal land. And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of federal lands.
Pieces of land.
Part of the countries we do. There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue unless we see this, and I worry about this as someone who cares deeply about our national parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things. We've got about 20% of the world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason. They belong to all of us. But again, this is when you view housing.
No mention of indigenous reservations.
Like, there's a chance to make money here. Let's take this federal land and let's sell it to people for that. I think there's better ways to do this. We've seen it in Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people in. And I'm still on the fact on this. Economists, Senator Banchee, you said you don't like the economists. Which economists are saying that it is immigrants that's adding to the cost?
Governor, your time is up. But Senator, on that point, I'd like for you to clarify. There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased levels of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire drive.
The vibe I'm getting from this debate,
it's also the regulatory regime.
I feel like in an alternate timeline, these guys should have been the ones running for presidency. And without Trump, I feel like J.D. Vance would have been much more moderate.
Harder to build things and wants to throw people in jail.
But he's going along with Trump, so it's like
everything exactly as Kamala Harris says they have to do. And
I think it's a far better debate than
I actually agree with Tim Waltz.
The presidential debate itself.
Of housing as a commodity, but the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no legal right to be here.
What are the federal regulations? I deal with this as a governor.
You can very quickly reply.
I'm a governor. I'm not in the federal government.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. That in some cases, many of those are local. Many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that
there's a lot of red tape around that shit.
Which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell. But Nora?
Thank you. One of the top
you don't understand the American dream?
Is the high cost
because you're not asleep.
Senator Vance, at the last presidential
you gotta be asleep to believe in the American dream.
About replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response,
Oh shit,
said,
she's going after her.
have concepts of a plan. Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions...
How about healthcare now?
More. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, of course, we're going to cover Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care. I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people have criticized this concepts of a plan remark. Look, it's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress, you're not going to propose a 900-page bill standing on a debate stage. It would bore everybody to tears, and it wouldn't actually mean anything because part of this is the give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president,
he's kind of starting to cook here a little bit.
Be proud of. Prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. Think about healthcare. You go to the hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more choice and will also drive down costs. And we talked about, the reinsurance regulations is what I was talking about. Look, Donald Trump has said that if we allow states to experiment a little bit on
who am I voting for? Kanye West, bro.
But the non-chronically ill, it's not just a plan. He actually implemented some of these regulations when he was president of the United States. And I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along. And I think this is an important point about President Trump.
Actual dub right there. Any W's?
President Trump has ever said or ever done. But when Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access to affordable care. It's not perfect, of course, and there's so much more that we can do.
He's trying to cook.
Donald Trump has earned the right to put in place some better healthcare policies. He's earned it because he did it successfully the first time.
Governor?
All right, here's where being an old guy gives you some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA.
I was there when it was written, which did not cite the deep magic.
State, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley.
Yo, he just pulled a fucking Chronicles of Narnia card right there, bro.
It's why we're ranked.
I was there when it was written. All right, he's cooking back. He's cooking back.
I know is under Kamala Harris.
He's in the kitchen again.
More people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening,
But I think he's going to fumble here a little bit.
Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to. Go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare. We have 10 drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue,
he's starting to cook a bit.
When Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what
he's cooking. He's cooking, bro.
Be worse than a concept because what
he's got the walk
is pre-Obamacare, and I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to
there's healthcare in the United States? No, not really.
Sure, because guess what happens?
It's like
you pay your premium. It's not much. They figure they're not going to.
It can be good,
but those of you a little older,
but it's very costly.
Got cancer.
Even sometimes with insurance.
That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Governor, thank you. Senator, you have not yet explained.
I have no confidence in either political party right now to make any meaningful changes to the healthcare system, nor the political system, which are both, ironically, inundated with intermediary money or lobby money. This is dog shit. So I don't really care what they say here, to be honest. honest with you guys.
Helped address that
In
problem
regards to healthcare or even like genocide.
access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again,
this is show.
Is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president,
this is a show.
These terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in
I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, or whatever. This is a show.
Was higher, and he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership. He did his job, which is govern in a bipartisan way and get results, not just complain about problems, but actually solve them.
Governor, did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people or whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then what happens is...
So you think the individual mandate's a good idea?
You shrink. I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret?
Can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret?
Let's talk about families in America. There is a child care crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few
child care
countries in the world without a national paid leave program for new parents. Governor Walz, you've said that if Democrats win both the White House and Congress, this is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their newborns? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well,
maternal leave.
That's what Congress worked. But
maternity leave.
Americans sitting out there right now, you may work for a big company. Look, we're home in Minnesota to some of the largest Fortune 500 companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family and medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy. We in Minnesota passed a paid family and medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start, the family works better, we stay in their employers, we get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue, those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some places, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those...
This shit was before Trump, though. Let's be real.
He's willing to say, bust those unions up, do whatever. What we're saying is the economy works best when it works for all of us. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I would go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this.
You get 18 months in Canada.
Family medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families.
Musa gets 16 months? God damn.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long?
This is a very easy question. This is a very easy question, JD. You just gotta say yes, brother.
Yeah, well, first of all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some Democrats, too, have worked on this issue, and I think there is a bipartisan solution here. Because a lot of us care about this issue.
All right. He's cooking a bit.
From this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator, and I'm so proud of her. But being a working mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company. But the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have that support paid family leave right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only go to one kind of childcare model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with childcare. Maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area and you'd like to get together with families in your neighborhood to provide childcare.
Communal care?
Makes the most sense. You don't get access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote childcare because, look, it is unacceptable. And, you know, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
All right.
Senator,
you kind of cooked.
You have also said, Senator.
I mean, it'd be kind of political suicide to say, nah, fuck you guys.
The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on childcare as they do on housing each month.
Yes.
So I want to get your thoughts on this.
Cost of
President Trump recently said
everything.
As much as childcare is
Formula,
talked about as being
diapers,
expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive
clothing,
compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking.
Damn.
Is President Trump committed to the $5,000
going after his ass for his running mate
that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas. Penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers.
All right.
It's the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan. Cut taxes for American workers and American families. Cut taxes for businesses that are hiring and building companies in the United States of America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas. That's the heart of the economic proposal. And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, child care options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
I don't know about that.
Can you clarify how that will solve the child care shortage?
Yeah, what the fuck? What the fuck is he talking about, bro?
We just don't have enough
resources. He's just trying to defend Trump right now, but I'm just like, nah, just forget about defending your running mate. Just think about what you want.
We're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for American families, because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, your
he fumbled a bit.
Also has some child care tax credit proposals.
They cooked earlier, but he fumbled a bit there.
Agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit for children over the age of 6 as your campaign.
Over the age of 6.
Is that realistic?
Okay.
Well, these members of Congress are listening to anybody, I can tell you, and this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's $5,000 or $6,000, that pays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarships types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case. But the issue here is, the question you asked is, you're not going to pay for it with these tariffs. That's just adding another $4,000 on the family and taking less. So not only do they not get the money to pay for that, they're $4,000.
You wouldn't mind seeing these two in the second debate?
That's his alma mater.
No, they should all just.
I think the issue here is,
all right.
Those members of Congress,
they should get on the podcast with Trump.
Sure,
all right, Harris, like all 4 of them on the podcast.
because we know
lock him in a room for 24 hours.
Because our economy's growing, but we need the workforce.
I want to see this podcast cook, bro.
We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy and inflation.
I want to see a podcast,
After the
24-hour podcast.
election, President Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results. Judges,
Oh shit!
appointed by
Gonna call his running mates claims of election fraud.
The evidence and said there was no widespread fraud. The governors of every state in the nation, Republicans and Democrats, certified the 2020 election results and sent a legal slate of electors to Congress for January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative electors.
They're going after his ass.
Unconstitutional and illegal.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, thanks for 20 gifted.
Liar, a bully, and he's toxic.
Thank you so much, Shinzu. I will put all that money towards the Model SNW 500 with a capacity of 5 bullets, an extra large frame size, with a width of 1.92 inches and a weight of 71 ounces. Look at this beautiful gun. Yo, let's go. We're gonna get this revolver reported in here. Make sure you guys thank Shinzu for a gifted sub. You got him.
And that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald
Hell
Trump
yeah, brother.
Remember, he
Just
said
fucking
on
arches.
January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House. And now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by 2 lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. And of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is...
Do you just admit Republicans are a threat to democracy? So the question was about his running mate's denial of the election results when he lost, and they also kind of went after him on him saying he would not have done the same thing as Mike Pence did in validating the electoral college votes as the vice president. So he kind of dodged the question.
With the senator, but there's one though that this one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this. And the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag. Several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence, and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence.
Oh, yeah.
Made the right decision.
He's cooking.
So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win, but the democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win. That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned
He's
about
cooking. He's cooking his ass, dude. I don't know.
Your political opponents already laying.
Yeah, he was a high school football coach.
Accepting this, and a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So, I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you
not really the first time, technically, but yeah,
we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Margaret?
Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look.
Not really the first time, no.
It's really rich for
on 2 counts, technically.
To say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he
but it's like whatever.
Gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country. We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. And of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by Vladimir Putin because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election, I'm all
fucking Hillary, dude.
As Tim Walz is saying that this is just a problem that Republicans have had, I don't buy that.
Governor.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't.
Why is it the VP debates are always better than presidential debates?
But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place
for
this.
No, I think it's really just been ever since Trump entered the national stage as a presidential candidate, as a president, that just kind of spiraled. Go look at the old debates between Romney and Obama, or
I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm gonna
Obama or fucking McCain, Bush, Kerry, Reagan's debates. I mean,
miles apart on.
It's not like Trump was, you know what I mean? Trump kind of upended the norm, for sure.
Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election.
And of course, don't forget to read the accounts of Lincoln's debates. Because that shit's funny too.
Their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation.
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah, well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this, I'm pretty shocked by this, he lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen. We will be right back with both of our candidates. The CBS News Vice Presidential.
God damn it, more commercials.
Continues.
All right. Well. Oh God, politics. Well, kind of. You know, so with that Bernie Mac. Listen here, America. I've heard Paramount Plus. You fuck this shit, dude. brought to you by Hulu Plus, Paramount Plus, fucking Disney Plus, CBS show of true crime. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this is what we're gonna work towards. All right. Last time we were working towards a GPU / new computer. We're gonna build. We're gonna work our way towards a Smith & Wesson 500. All right. So what the fuck is what are the reactions? What are reactions so far? At least on one social media platform. I'm not gonna check it on Facebook. Fuck that shit. All right. Let's see. JD Vance is a good debater because he's a smooth and confident liar. It's the fashion guy. Vance would have been better served by a more conservative tie. Fuchsia raw silk is something you wear to summer garden parties, not debates. You have the 460. How's the recoil on the 460 SSJ? Every woman in America Googling where to get the button from debate that mutes men yelling. Yeah, what the fuck? All right, let's see. This is like a presidential debate from the 80s or something, like something school children would watch in a civics class. Yeah, I mean, again, I think people just can't remember past Trump. Trump kind of upended the norms of, well, the media debates or media presentation as a presidential candidate. So I think if you just look back another 8 years, you'll find normal debates or I guess like presentations, really. What is this? I say this every 4 years, but I would much rather watch a first ladies debate. Honestly? This VP debate is boring. Bring back Mike Pence. A fly landed on his head. And it was funny. There's this debate, bro. Yo, he does have a little eyeliner, but you know what? I don't judge. Men can, maybe should, look into makeup too, or cosmetics. You know what I mean? It's heavy as shit with the 8 quarter. As long as you're, what was it? Sorry, I can't read for some reason. 8 3/4. As long as you're aiming slightly down and neutral, then the recoil isn't bad at all. Okay. I'm just kind of curious what the recoil is like on the 500. He's woke. Oh, position one. Yeah. Let's see. You cannot debate with someone who low-key doesn't like you. Waz is aggressively Midwestern in a way that's endearing. Okay. Let's see. Man, a lot of people commenting on the eyeliner, dude. JD Vance device. What the fuck, dude? I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it was too much eyeliner. All right. Oh, wait, what's going on here? Okay, the C-SPAN's doing its own thing. Let's see. Crazy how much better this is in the presidential debate. Can we please put the take? This is what I was saying earlier. I feel like in an alternate timeline, JD Vance and Walz could have run on the presidential ticket, and if Trump wasn't there, I think JD Vance would have actually been a actual moderate, or at worst, a conservative moderate. But he has to go with Trump, so it's like, I don't know. I get that sense in some ways based on his previous comments about Trump, but he's running a Trump ticket, so he's got to do it. He's got to get down on his knees. Next election. I mean, that's kind of what they're going for, when you have... Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to the CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. It is now time for the closing statement. Senator
But JD Vance has been groomed by a couple billionaires.
So, Governor Walz,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to groom him for future presidency.
Thank you to CBS News, and most importantly,
and Tim Walz. I mean, yeah, I think people would probably be fine with him on the presidential ticket for Democrats.
But look, the support of the democracy matters. It matters that you're here, and I'm as surprised as anybody.
If Trump wasn't in play, I think it would have been Vivek versus RFK.
Bernie Sanders.
I doubt RFK, honestly.
And a whole bunch of folks in between there, and they don't all agree on everything. But they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you, that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices.
You just bring up Taylor Swift? Yeah, something about that. Yeah, these are closing statements.
Who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about...
It's 2 commercials. After a second commercial is closing statements.
4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. People don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt,
Yo, he's getting his ass one more time.
To fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of it.
It's a good statement. It's a good closing statement so far.
Join this movement. Make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive.
You try to cook.
I ask for your vote on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
You try to cook.
Thank you. Senator Vance, your closing statement.
Well, I want to thank Governor Walz, you folks at CBS, and of course the American people for tuning in this evening. And one of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my
I can't stop seeing the eyeliner now that people are pointing it out more.
Some nights because
Fuck.
It gets pretty cold at night, and because money is often very tight.
This is his closing statement.
And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat.
Too bad most of that money doesn't go to the actual people that pay the taxes. So I don't think it really matters.
Whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods. You ought to not have your communities flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten harder with because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and
poor people are gonna get fucked either way, dude. Either party.
On all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing and to tell me they're praying for my family. What that has taught me is that we have the greatest country, the most beautiful country.
The greatest country can't feed its own people. What the fuck is he talking about, bro?
Full dreams with the broken leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live their American dream if we do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 3.5 years. We need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before.
Oh yeah, he got kicked out of a store.
Please vote for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you. And
would
thank
love
you both for participating in the only vice presidential
would love a
debate
statesman that would acknowledge the actual state of America and be like, it's fucked up right now, but we can work together to get out of this shit. You know what I mean?
CBS News. Thank you.
Did all the customers left? He isn't running again after this year, and I'm sad. No more memes. Who won this rap battle? Oh look, they're talking to each other and shit. They're shook hands, patting shoulders. There's their wives.
Presidential debate. This election is now complete. It was a cordial debate of the kind that people mostly
much more cordial.
Here, the two candidates lingering on the stage. That's quite a difference from the presidential debate, in which it was not even sure that Vice President Harris and Donald Trump would shake hands. It was a debate in which the line, "I appreciate what Tim said about Finland," was one of the many ways in which Senator Vance agreed with the governor. The governor agreed right back. But that's the tone and the kind of theater review of this. I'll pick out two issues. On the question of the top of the news today, which is the Middle East and the kinds of foreign policy surprises.
You can't possibly discuss all these topics in depth in a fucking 1 to 2 minute round per person.
Cited the members of the Trump administration who have attested to that. Vice President, or excuse me, Vance.
You think politics is like pro wrestling, fake as hell? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, dude. It's a show. I keep telling people, even on the last debate, I just like, it's a show. What's really important here is not just the presidential elections in America, but you also have to pay attention to the local elections. You have to also pay attention to county elections. You also have to pay attention to congressional elections. But people think the presidential elections is like the only big deal. You know what I mean? So, how do we not make this a show? Well, you gotta take money out of the politics, which, you know, almost every political scientist I have talked to agrees on that. As for healthcare, you also need to take the intermediaries out, which healthcare experts I've talked to agree on that too. So, I mean, it's all about money. It's a business. The country's a business.
And then I think at the very end of the debate, we saw something extraordinary. Tim Walz asked J.D. Vance if Donald Trump lost the election, he was incapable.
The country's a business. How dare you? Nancy would never let you take her precious stocks and bags. The fact that they even allow insider trading well, it's technically illegal, but that, I mean, you know, everyone knows they do it. You know, it's just like the fact that they all do insider trading. It's crazy, brother. Crazy. But it's a show. I mean, even the media hypes it up, right? Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of deserved because a lot of people who called into C-SPAN, even for the last debate, they were like, "This is prime time, bro." You know, I was watching House of Dragons, so this is the next best thing. I'm just like, if you gotta take this shit seriously, man. Nancy outperforms trillion-dollar hedge funds. Yeah, her bets on the market seem quite accurate. All right, definitely take my stock. Yo, there's actually okay, so there's actually a website or two that tracks their stocks, but I think the data comes out like 2 or 3 weeks after. So you can't exactly follow it. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, on the stocks. All right, what are these? What's C-SPAN? Okay, C-SPAN's done. You know, C-SPAN's usually like, I find C-SPAN probably the best kind of source for this shit. Honestly, not CNN or Fox or whatever or CBS. C-SPAN, they just film this shit and then that's it. And they take callers. I think it's much more like better. Money runs these politics are just puppets for the rich. To an extent, I wouldn't say like complete non-independent puppets. It's because I think it's a bit more complicated than that. They're all humans too, right? But money is a huge influence in current American politics, unfortunately. The Nancy ETF, even with the months of delay, does outperform the market. No way, dude. I want to see this shit. What was it? Months of delay? An ETF that tracks the stock trades of Democrats in Congress has been beating the S&P 500. Oh, the strength of Magnificent 7 tech bets. Bro, I need this tracker. Not gonna lie. The fund's biggest weightings include market standouts Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Nvidia. Okay. Search 30%. Yeah, okay. So a lot of blue chip / megacorp stocks. Okay. Interesting. The Unusual Whales Republican ETF with the same methodology has been underperforming. Oh, they trade under symbol Cruise. That's cute. Has gained about 15% since the inception. Just the Democrats get the better deals, dude. That's basically it. They get the better information, essentially. All right. All right. Sorry, I had to let the cat out. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about the debate? Honestly. Is there more latest? Excellent debate. This debate shows that this was not the right pick for VP. See, these people just want to enjoy the debate, bro. Come on. I think most people will say both did well or both had a great debate. I don't know. I think there were definitely some strong moments from JD Vance on a couple topics, but for the most part, I think he definitely fumbled quite a few of them. At least, like, content-wise. Obviously, speech-wise and oratory skills, both of them, for the most part, fine. Whatever. But if you're going to break the actual content of what both of these guys are saying, you'll find faults in a lot of them, honestly. This debate was too peaceful. Yeah, there were definitely some big avoidances or fibs from JD Vance. But also, whilst kind of saying the same shit we've been here, I don't know, man. Like, the guy on CNN just said Vance has more experience in public speaking debate than Walls. Yeah, this is the thing where he said a damning non-answer.
And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking online in the wake of
yeah, he fumbled this one, bro.
The 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Has she?
See, this is what I mean, right? Never use that soundbite, yeah. The knucklehead, yeah. There were a couple memeable or like clippable moments, but again, it's a show. This guy's like, all the real losers are the rest of us. Based. True. W. Who was best dressed though? According to the fashion guy on Twitter I follow, Vance could have had a better tie. So I guess Walls dressed better. Just because of that one tie. Like the necktie. Right before the debate, it might interest you guys to know something. Right before the debate, I was getting spam texted by both the Harris and Trump campaigns on voting and shit. So they were like blowing up, at least my phone, right before the debate, like 30 minutes before the debate. I don't know if anyone else in chat who's in the States also got their phones blown up by text messages from the campaigns or polls or surveyors. But that shit, like, I had like 20 fucking text messages blow up on me like 30 minutes before the debate. So I think the media or the campaigns at least definitely wanted you to watch the debate tonight. Gotta boost those ratings. How is it legal? How's what legal? Advertisements or political advertisements? Through what, text? It's legal. A lot of it is spam, but it's legal. No. I had a feeling though it was gonna be like, don't they regulate that for the average Joe schmoes? No. All right. Shall we try out Deadlock? Question mark. Middle East situation being sidestepped. Oh, here's the thing though, like it was the same thing with the Harris and Trump debate. They're all Zionists. they're all gonna back Israel no matter what. Genocide or no genocide, invasion or no invasion. It's just a fucking dick measuring contest whenever Israel comes up for most American politicians. And it shouldn't be like that. How fun is Deadlock? You know, I haven't played it really. I just got access to it, and then I just didn't have time because I think like what happened was there's just a lot of shit going on leading up to TwitchCon and all that. You have a lot of stuff in the coming month too, like what? Posted? Okay. Oh, the sound. What about ESOU, bro? What's happening, bro? What's happening with ESOU? Are we just piecing out, dude? Or are we just like, yeah, we're done? Alright. My friends, learn to play, recommended. It's always after a post. Wait for new players. What the hell? Who should I main? Deadlock is trash. Is it sacred? Compared to what? Supervive? Supervive. Okay, so it's like it's MOBA. It's a MOBA. It's about... Hello.
What's this?
Just trying to Valve's newest kind of game in development. It's like a MOBA. I guess it's a successor to Dota 2. So how do you feel about the debate? What's wrong?
It was more sane than the presidential debate, so that's something.
Okay.
But JD Vance just spouted fucking lies.
Yeah, he had a couple big
because
faves.
of how vague and neurotic Trump is. He's not clear on any of his stances, so it allows Vance to go in and use smart words.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump's an idiot.
Well, I mean, I think comparing any Trump debate to this was like, you know what I mean? In comparison, it's always going to look more sane. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. I don't know. What do we do here? Abrams. It was really bad when you played it. When did you play it? Ask Becca who she thought won. Who do you think won?
I did just say everything Vance said was fucking lies. They have an agenda.
Sure.
And he wasn't honest about any of it.
Yeah, he dodged. I mean, they both dodged questions, but he dodged a lot more. Especially when he was asked, did Trump lose? And he just said, I just want to think about the future. Bebop. What is this? Exploding uppercut. Sticky bomb. Plant a bomb on an enemy. Point a target to you. Dude, this is a skill shot, motherfucker. Hyper beam. Just close combat. Dynamo. Knocks down the enemy team. Great. Yeah, this is Overwatch, bro. This is God, this is Strange's favorite character. Bulletproof windows and locks. Oh, for skulls. Yeah, that was weird. The locks. I was like, better locks. Long range skill shots. So you need good distance. Rain of arrows. Hanzo, he's insane. Shimada, you fell in love with. Okay. This one looks a little lame, not gonna lie. Hey, he sneaks in and sprays bullets. Sleep dagger. Smoke bomb. Deal increasing bullet damage to a target. Bullet dance. Bullet dance! Yo, this is fuck. Well, dude, what's that? Who's that cowboy from Overwatch? They changed his name. Fuck. Mick something, right? And then it was changed from like Mick something to because like the developer that was named after turned out to be McCree. Yeah. Sexual harasser. All right. Let's see. Infernus. Amplifies your damage. Blaze forward. Okay, so you spray that shit and you blaze forward. This is like gyrocopter. Not gyrocopter. Fuck. Fuck. There's like there's a lot of similarities to some Dota heroes. Yeah, Cassidy. Yeah, the Cosby room. Too much breast milk stolen. Not gonna lie. Ivy. Empower yourself. So this is a support class hero. Turn yourself into a gargoyle and stun enemies. Airdrop. Holy shit. Okay. Kelvin. Freeze enemies in their tracks. None of these seem really, like, compelling to me. Not gonna lie. Lady Geist. Expanding health to achieve devastating effects. Essence bomb. Sacrifice some health to launch a damage bomb? What? Steal health from an enemy over time. Malice. Stack damage amplification on an enemy. Soul exchange. Oh shit. Okay. It's like little kind of like Abaddon a bit. Lash. Ground strike. Grapple. Flog. Okay. Death slam. Lift enemies and slam them into the ground. What's this? McGinnis. Oh, it's McCree! They have nothing on Diddy promising to ban woman from his home if he's released, bruh. Combat turrets. Oh god, this is a door from Overwatch, bro. Medicinal Spectre. It's a combat support dude. Okay, what is this? Spectral wall. A wall? Yo, this is an OP character. What the fuck? Heavy barrage. And a barrage. What the fuck? Okay, maybe this one, dude. Mirage. Look at the unfinished textures. Tornado. Fire scarabs. Steal life from enemies. Jin's mark. Is he supposed to be like a genie? Traveler. Teleport to an ally or enemy here. Oh, hell! Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so he has ganking potential. Mow and Krill. Burrows underneath enemies. Okay, you can hit people, travel underground, emerging with spin damage. Disarm enemies in front of you. What? Hold the enemy hero in place and pummel them. This kind of looks kind of fun. My choices are so far Lady Geist, McGinnis, Mow and Krill. Paradox. Pulse grenade. Damage and slow. Time wall that greatly slows projectiles. Kinetic carbon. Charge up. Paradoxical swap. Swap positions with an enemy hero. Okay, yeah, I don't know about that. All right, maybe it could be a good play, like good skill play. Torbjorn, yeah. Pocket infiltrates and disrupts the backline. Air glide while firing multiple projectiles. Launch a damaging cloak you can teleport to. Enchanter's satchel. Briefly escape into your suitcase and deal damage. Apply damage over time to enemies nearby. 7. Electrocutes crowds of enemies. Delayed stun to an enemy hero. Create electric arcs with your shots. Fry all enemies in a large area. Hey, maybe this. I mean, this guy seems really simple. Shiv bleeds out foes and goes in for the kill. Oh, like Bloodseeker. Apply stacking lead to target. Slice and dice. Differ. Instantly. Oh, it's like Axe with Bloodseeker, bro. From Dota. Vindicta. It's a sniper. Tether your enemies to the ground and shoot them, I guess. It's like Puck. Okay. Take flight and empower your weapon. Make a target bleed over time. Huh? Snipe injured targets for massive damage. Yeah, thanks for the follow, Razor Tank. Viscous rolls around deflecting bullets. What? Damage enemies and make a mess. The cube. Puddle punch, like Jello Man, bro. Punch enemies with giant fist. Roll around and cause chaos. Alright. Warden. Alchemical Flask. Damage and debuff. Spirit Shield and movement speed. Increase your target. Steals health. Who's this? Wraith? It's always a kind of Wraith character. Card Trick. Oh, Card Trick. Project Mind. Teleport to the target location. We'll play like only a couple games, by the way. It's kind of late. Try to debate. Project Mind. Okay. Full auto. Telekinesis. Silencing. Yamato. Wow, what's this? Power Slash. Flying Strike. Crimson Slash. Shout. Become invincible and more powerful. What the fuck? You know, I'm kind of thinking, I am kind of thinking probably maybe Lady Geist. I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? Bro, that voice. Wait, thank you for the compliment. Swap your current health with an enemy heroes. That could be clutch against players for sure. But looks like there's a cast time too, so that might be a bit rough. We'll try 7. I mean 7. It's delayed stun, you know. Or we could try. We could try Shiv, Killing Blow. I mean that seems also pretty straightforward. Not gonna lie here. Test out your movements. Hero's movement. Okay. Jump. This is literally Dota 2, but reload. Dash. How many dashes are we? Oh, 3 dashes. Hold space. Can we climb this?
Good.
Holy shit, we can climb this.
Unlock your abilities.
Oh my god.
Do this by holding the appropriate number or holding tab and selecting a power to unlock. That's it for their army. It's time to try out your abilities. Lead.
Look, it's a tower. Oh, shit! It's not a hero. Target hero. Okay, I get it. This is actually not too bad. It's just Dota on the ground, really.
Softening him up. Let's check out the shot.
So you're like out. Oh, you can't outrange a tower. Never mind.
Control blades.
Okay.
They're gonna bleed.
Kind of like in a game with players. You can't really do Killing Blow because there's no like. Wait, yeah, there's a guy right here. Never mind. What does my thing do? Loading, taking over time. Oh shit, that's kind of hard. Cool. We're done.
They won't outrun me. Time for a little wet work.
Please place space on the transit line. Here. How do we get up there? Oh. This is a prompt. Oh, I'll go upside down. That's crazy. Purchase items for your hero. Okay, where is the item area? Oh, curiosity shop. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Extra health.
Last one standing.
I got one of those for the
missus. Big fan.
Point blank.
Good luck knocking. Swing by any time.
1,000 souls. I see.
Come back if you need anything else. We live in internet. Good luck.
Okay, cool. Lane trading.
So, you need an engineer, huh?
Let's try this hero. Maybe each. Secure a green ore by shooting it in the air. What?
I am one of the patrons, and today I will be your guide. First things first, you need to take out the Guardian that's at the end of this lane. By destroying it, we don't just get closer to the final objective, we earn souls and ability points for the entire team. Every time you put the final bullet into a trooper, you earn souls. But be careful. If an enemy shoots the soul flying out of a trooper, they steal a portion.
I'm a good poker, I guess, with this class. Or with this hero, rather. Oh my god. What?
Remember, you only earn souls off a dying trooper if you or an ally deal a killing blow. You have 4 training tasks left. You might want to go back to base and heal.
It feels good to play so far. I'm a lane pusher too. A lane blocker. Kinda OP. Like, look at this. I can block an entire lane. That's crazy, dude. For a little bit, though. Return to base.
Don't forget to shoot a blue soul out of the air.
A blue soul. Orange soul.
Your companion was slain, but
Where are these souls, dude?
return. You have 2 training tasks left.
It's like Team Fortress 2 shit. I don't know why. Orange souls. Green soul. I don't see any of this. It's probably like, oh, it's over here. There's a shop here too.
We can't hurt the Guardian while its shield is up. Don't forget to shoot a blue soul out of the air.
I don't see a blue soul shop.
Sending arrow.
Can take fire from the Guardian.
I can move. Okay. I didn't search the feed, bro.
Here's just one more task to complete.
Power aggro on you if you like aggro on them or aggro on the players or heroes.
Here I come.
Holy shit.
away from the Guardian.
I need more,
You're out of stamina, but don't worry. It'll recover over time.
Holy shit.
Don't forget to shoot an orange soul out of the air. You stopped Orion. Mid-boss has arrived.
What? Oh shit. Roshan? And double jump.
Stopped Abrams. The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed. You stopped Orion. Don't forget to shoot an orange soul out of the air. Get away from the Guardian.
Playing ranked yet? No. Let me get this tower. I want to play one match though. What it means. It takes so much to kill this tower. Guardian, whatever it is all.
Don't try going toe-to-toe with the Guardian. You stopped Orion. The Guardian is tearing you apart. Don't forget to shoot an orange soul out of the air.
Stun.
Back away from the Guardian.
Dude, this thing is so tanky. What the hell? What? It's gonna lock me out. It's crazy.
Stopped Orion. You can't. The base looked far away. But they've just been is temporary. You will return to no base. The more powerful you become, the longer you stay out of action when you die. Perhaps use this time to go shopping for when you return to the
what question?
coil.
Was all your daylight savings like? I forget, like November. An orange orb. Alright. Let's recharge. Oh shit, okay. So you can only go in one lane. Essentially is what I'm getting here. Or you could go to the other lane.
The spirit urn is waiting.
But you have to like walk to that lane. Interesting. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Don't forget to shoot an orange soul.
It's like people have their own lanes technically, but they can still go anywhere else. So you gotta shoot these souls to get souls. Okay. Have I played through Shattered Space yet? Yeah, a little bit. We were streaming yesterday. We have a lore video coming out already. Just a side quest lore. I found it kinda sad. Come out tomorrow.
Don't forget to shoot an orange soul out of the air.
Where's the orange soul, dude? I'm not seeing the orange souls.
The urn is being delivered.
Oh, no, that's not an orange soul. This thing's not taking any damage, it's crazy.
The Guardian is tearing you apart.
Oh shit. proximity base. I don't understand. This is just so tanky, you could just never kill it. I feel like it's not going down.
Don't forget to shoot
Blue or
orange
red
soul
pill?
out of
Neither.
the air.
Found it, finally.
Use the transit line to return to the base. Once you're there, I'll bestow you with resources so you can power up for a final push on that Guardian.
So the Guardians regenerate health.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed. It's time to take out that Guardian and kill anyone who stands in our way.
Why is this thing so much damage? What the fuck?
Finding a better angle.
You stopped Abrams.
I don't understand the Guardian system in this game. Or the power system in this game. There we go, some damage. Walker.
They will. You completed lane taking. If you're
Okay.
I'm ready.
Oh, at least 3 heroes for a roster? Shit, okay.
So you've called on me. I got this.
My Kleinzade. What? How? Oh, it's updating. What the f... Okay. Hold on. Okay. try this again. Guess the game had an update while we were playing. Does anyone want an invite to this game, by the way? It's invite only for now. Crow leads. Oh shit.
The monster inside you is not the beast. It is ambition. Complete the ritual, and you will finally
oh shit.
Watch them bleed. Can't forget to buy gear.
This got shit out last city. In terms of attrition, I should be better than them. Player versus player, huh? Is there a shop near me? Yeah, okay, there is. Perfect. Almost have 1,000 souls.
Welcome to my shop of curiosity. Stay safe out there.
Our blue walker has been
far. Oh shit. Okay. I should have dashed. 5 souls.
Tell you what, I'll throw in
It's
a
cooking
free
me a
teacher.
lot.
well done. has been defeated.
Oh shit.
No one's touching me.
They're gonna bleed. Catch! Let's play.
Easy.
Don't for a second think you're better than me.
1 for 1. Gonna push the lane.
Throw blades. Let's play. Blades out. Try to keep up.
Outrage.
They'll never see me coming.
I'll go back wall. Is that my teammate? That's my teammate.
Have fun. Don't get dead. You're not gonna regret that.
Excellent work.
Flex slot.
Be relentless.
Nice.
Slave taking an objective.
What is that? Oh, fuck. It's a bigger tower. Enemy walker. It's going down pretty fast, though. Holy shit.
I see great element.
Just beaming my lane down.
Dramatic, stylish, I love it.
Fuck. Few of them. You can buy while you're here, right?
Enemies have breached our stronghold.
Can climb ropes? God damn. What?
We only have one shrine left.
They were losing. So close.
Knife out.
Let's take out Wraith. Our yellow walker has been defeated.
What the hell's happening at the host? Dude, this linear is fat.
Enemies have breached our stronghold.
Okay.
Good work.
Now, I don't go selling these to just anyone.
They cower before us. They've taken an objective.
Let's play.
The spirit is waiting to be claimed. Let me show you how it's done.
What level am I? 91. Jesus. Items.
you need more protection, you know where to find.
The old hunter is here.
We live in interesting times. If you like that, I got some other
Cannot
stuff.
stop you, Abrams.
Throw blades. Sticking I could do this all day.
I think we should sleep a bit.
The spirit herb is waiting to be claimed. I see Wraith. Yamato doesn't give up easily. Wraith will try to pick us off.
Leave!
I see Wraith. 7. You set the stage for them. Enemies have breached our stronghold. I'm under attack.
Leave!
You gotta try a lot harder than that.
Blades out.
I'm under attack.
Softening them up.
Fuck, they're all running back. With DC. Throw that one person down.
I'm under attack.
Let's play. They were out of their league.
Enemies have breached our stronghold.
They're gonna bleed.
Take him down!
Oh fuck. What the fuck? This guy's so tanky.
Make it through this.
I'll hold them as long as I can.
You aren't worthy to fight me.
Come back if you need anything else.
I see you. Go ahead. Knife out. Sticking.
I see his purpose.
Oh my god. Wait.
Slice and dice.
Fuck. Two of them. I have no idea what's going on with patrons. Weakened.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Where's the patron? This one?
I'm unstoppable.
Blades. Softening them up. Don't shoot.
Holy shit. I killed him, but he dialed me out. They're gonna bleed. I'm never ending. You have 4. You have 5.
No point in saving anymore.
I see Great Helen.
But they're not pushing hard enough to end it. Yeah, it's over. 3 people now. Sage. Oh, what did here? Man, that was unexpectedly a long match. Alright, I'll see you soon, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Probably working on more videos tomorrow. Swing some more thumbnails. We have so many videos lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos. Jesus. Yeah, you know, I'm actually kind of interested. It's tickling my MOBA again. So see you guys soon. I don't want to be toxic again, though. The MOBA life changes you.